Hello there. What up, what up, what up, one and all? Welcome to another edition of From the Soapbox. And as always, these podcasts are brought to you by the Power of Five. We'll get into a little bit of that a little bit later. But we thank one and all for loving and supporting the show. Continue to do so because we only grow. The more you give, the more we give back. And now, on with today's podcast. And unfortunately, this has to do again with the senseless shooting of innocent people by people who aren't right in the head that are allowed access to weapons of war. In case you didn't know, there were two separate incidents over the weekend. There's one in Philadelphia and one in Texas. And we're not going to get into specifics about them because this isn't about specifics. This is about when is enough actually enough? That's a very important question. That's a very honest question you need to start asking yourselves. When is enough enough? We all know how there are people out there that are going to see these things happen and be like, oh, it's too soon to talk about. We need to let people calm down first. That's disingenuous at best. And the reason why that is so is because they know that what will happen is that people will be upset about it. They'll calm down, and then they'll move on to other things. So if they don't do anything about it in the immediate, they don't have to do anything about it down the line because it is what it is, and things will continue the way they are. Is that right? No. Is that just? Hell no. Is that fair? Be real. And it is what it is, but it doesn't have to be that way. I'm going to say some things during this podcast that a lot of people are going to disagree with. They're going to disagree with them. They're going to find fault with them. They're going to pick them apart and everything else. I say let them. Because it's about time somebody said something. And I'm the one that's going to say it. I'm the one that says it. Now, in an ideal world, birds singing, chipmunks playing, all that good stuff. In an ideal world, you're going to get people who don't have guns. They don't have them. And will that stop all crime? No. No. And you'd be a fool to think otherwise. But that will cut it down. And I'm thinking it'll cut it down tremendously. You have examples, like in the UK. You have an example where they're banned. They're banned in places like Australia. Places like Denmark where everybody carries, but you don't get nowhere near the amount of gun violence that you get here. And you might ask yourself, why is that? Because the people in government there, the people in power, had the political will to make things happen. Let's call a spade a spade. Let's look at things for what they truly are, not what we want them to be, what they are. And what they are is a mess. You get people dying. Let that sink in for a minute. You get people dying because the Second Amendment or the threat or the idea of curtailing or eliminating the Second Amendment is a bridge too far. I ask you this question, and I want you to answer it truthfully. If that was your loved one that was killed, would you still be willing to keep on to that Second Amendment nonsense, knowing that you could have had a hand in preventing it? I'll wait. Gun violence takes the lives of more of our youth than anything in America. I remember, and it wasn't all that long ago, where you could go to school and feel safe. Now, going to school and coming home, oh, it's something different. But then again, the maximum that was bullying. And if you stuck to your guns or if you fought back, the bullying stopped. Because back then, bullies picked on people they perceived to be weaker than them. But if you showed them that you were as strong as them, if not stronger, they tend to leave you alone. Let's look at music. Back in the early days of rap, about 79, 80, you could go to a rhyming contest at a party, you and your crew, or just you yourself, or whatever, and you could lose. And what happens when you lost? You went, all right, you got me. You went home. You practiced harder. You got your flow on point. You got your rhymes tight. Then you went back the next week and you tried again. Not once did it even come across your mind that you could die if you beat this person. It's that way now. And it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be that way at all. But it is. And I'm asking you, each and every viewer out there, each and every listener out there, when is enough enough? When will you finally sit there and say, okay, this has got to stop? What can I do to help stop it? And again, guns aren't going away in the complete, because there are people out there that are going to have them come hell or high water. Come the what may, they're going to have them. So that's not a question. In an ideal world, there'd be none. This isn't an ideal world. So again, we deal with the reality, the here and the now. Not the what could be, not what the might be, not what the coulda, woulda, shoulda been. What is. And what is people need self-control. There, I said it. And again, before you get all butthurt and stupid and start arguing with me, if this doesn't occur to you, say nothing. If you don't fit the criteria, then it doesn't pertain to you. Keep it moving. Leave the discussion for the grown-ups. It has nothing to do with you. So, if this has nothing to do with you, you can listen. No one's telling you not to. But let it roll off your back like water off a duck's back. Just, it ain't me. And for those that this does pertain to, When is enough enough? Guns don't kill guns, people do. Yeah, but people use guns to kill them. They're complicit. And let's break it all down to its bare minimum. What is a gun's primary purpose? Now, I know we've discussed this before, but it bears repeating and discussing again. And then let's take a gun versus a knife. Take a gun versus a car. Three things that can cause grave image and or death. A car's primary function is transportation. To move people from point A to point B. It can also kill people in the wrong hands. What is the primary purpose of a knife? To cut items, normally food, into smaller manageable bits so you can eat them. It can also cause death. What is a gun's primary function? To kill people. Let that sink in. I'll give you 3 examples of different things that could be used to end someone's life and broke them down to its primary function. Only the gun was specifically designed to kill people. And in the advent of the assault rifle, it was to kill as many people as quickly as possible. Not efficiently, quickly. One depressing of a gun can mow down 20 to 30 people. No problem. And that's what it was designed to do. That's my whole point. It wasn't designed for anything else other than to end life. So for those guns, knives kill, sure they do. But it's not their primary function. And to take that away means now people can't cut things. People can't make things into smaller, more manageable pieces for consumption. Cars, you can take them away. If you take them away, then you can't traverse great distances as quickly as possible. There's a primary function that if you take those 2 items away, does away with them. So why would you do it? Guns, on the other hand, they're made to kill people. End of story. They're made to kill people. And in the case of assault rifles, their function is to kill as many people as quickly as possible. It can unload multiple projectiles quickly. So for those that argue guns kill, but so do knives, so do cars, so do this, that, and the other thing. No, they don't. Not in the first instance. Can they be made to do so? Absolutely. But that's not the point. Because, to use another analogy, if your aunt had balls, she'd be your uncle. She doesn't, so she's your aunt. And that's the coulda, woulda, shoulda conflation that a lot of people like to use. Also, the what will stop a bad guy with a gun, a good guy with a gun? No, it won't. Not with all the John Wayne mentality you have these days. And if you do actually follow the law, you might as well not have one. Because it does you no good. Why? Where's the gun supposed to be? It's supposed to be in a secure, locked area, inaccessible to children. Okay. So when someone comes into your house and they want to rob you, you have the means to stop them, but it's locked away safely. Hello? Is it just me that's getting this? Is it just me who actually understands what's going on? I know people get this. And this goes, shout out to my sister podcast, An Uncomfortable Truth. Here is another one of those little tidbits of information for you. Again, they know everything that I'm telling you. This isn't new. But their pursuit of obtaining money, aka greed, overrides all types of common sense. Because in the end, if a bad guy has a gun and a good guy has a gun, the gun manufacturers make that money. And that's what it all boils down to, money. You can't have guns without money. But you can't have money without guns. And guns have become so pervasive that people don't even really think about them anymore. Games like Call of Duty, games like Fortnite, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six games, all the first and third person shooters out there. You can have a tough day at home, at work I mean, go home and go crazy. Kill everything in sight. And I hear people saying, well, see, there you go. But there's a difference. Cyber bullets don't puncture flesh. That's another uncomfortable truth, but one worth talking about. Cyber bullets do not puncture flesh. How many people would be alive if, when someone is having a bad day, goes home, goes to their favorite console, fires up one of these shooter games, and lets it all hang out? Yeah, they might go out and want to kill people anyway. But once you get that release, you feel better. You feel better. And people that feel better, on a whole, tend to not want to wet people up with automatic weapons or weapons of any kind. I want to give a special shout out to those unsung heroes who only use lethal force as a last resort. And there are quite a few people, more than I want to name right now, so I'm not going to go out and name everybody. But shout out to you, because it's so much easier to pull out a pistol and to press it in anger. So much easier. But no, they attempt to talk them down first. And of course, there will be people out there who you can't talk to. We know that just from these spaces. They are set in their ways and nothing's going to budge them. But still, they try to talk to them first. Still, they consider lethal force a last resort. And even then, only use when their life or the lives of people around them are in imminent danger. This has got to stop. It's got to stop. Because one person that is killed is one person too many. And I would say we have to do better, but hey, that doesn't seem to work. I am a realist. And realistically speaking, imploring people to do better doesn't cut it. Because you get there, yeah, all right, yeah, and then go about doing the business as usual. A lot of times within seconds of saying, yeah, right, or I will. So we've gone beyond talking at this point. That ship has sailed. What should we do? If it was up to me, the military would have weapons and higher echelon police officers would have weapons. Everybody else? No. Just like England. No, you don't need them. Was that going to stop crime? No. But if I have to choose between getting into a fight with someone with a gun versus someone with a gun, I'm going to choose the gun because I have a better chance of surviving that encounter with the knife. Guns are ranged weapons. Knives are close and personal. So if someone's coming at you with a knife, you can see it and you can deal with it. Someone's coming at you with a gun, you may never see it coming. So I honestly believe guns should be banned. It should be illegal for the general public to purchase and or own a firearm. With the possible exception of sportsmen. Then they've got a rifle that they use to hunt. But again, hunting. It all comes back to primary versus secondary usage. The primary function of a rifle is to hunt prey. It can also hunt people. It can kill prey, it can kill people. But its primary function is to kill prey. So that people can eat. So they get a pass. And in my world, every year they have to let the government know I still own a firearm and here's my certification. I've had so many hours of practice. Not say anywhere between 8 and 16 hours of practice. Anybody else? Sorry. And let's look at this Second Amendment nonsense that you hear a lot of people talking about. You hear people saying, "You can't infringe my Second Amendment rights." Let's look at that. Let's actually look at it. The Second Amendment does not say you have a right to own a gun. What it does say is that a well-regulated militia has the right to keep and bear arms. Are you part of a militia? No, don't need it. I go so far as to say now, with the National Guard, you don't need a militia. You don't need one. Because militias were groups of men that were tasked in patrolling and defending an area. National Guard does that now. And we pay for that. So you want to be a militia when you're paying someone to be the militia for you. Get out of here. Miss me with that. In an ideal world, there'd be no guns. And deterrence would fit the crime. The punishment should reflect the severity and of the crime. And so that means if you kill somebody, you got to go. And we're not going to get into the military industrial complex. We're not going to get into the prison industrial complex because those things were put into place to keep people like me in check. And before you get into your feelings about what I just said, really think about it. Think about it in today's terms. You can have two people, a white person and a black person, commit the same offense. They both get arrested. What are the chances that they get the exact same sentencing? Not bloody likely. The black person get the worst of the sentencing because they are a perceived threat. Because of this. We people who are darker than blue. Shout out to the late, great Curtis Mayfield. We really need to do better. But as I said before, that ship has sailed. We need to get to the root of the problem, and we need to fix it. We don't need to talk about it. We don't need to pontificate on it. We don't need a discussion. We don't need a focus group. We don't need any of that nonsense. We need to identify and fix the problem. And we've already identified it. So we need to fix it. And with that, we'll wrap it up. And as always, I want to thank each and every one of you who took the time to listen to this podcast, to thank you for your continued love and support. And as always, we deal in the power of 5. Like, comment, subscribe, notify, share. Those 5 easy things. Did I mention they're free? They cost you nothing. They cost you maybe a minute or 2 out of your day. You do more than that scrolling through your TikTok feed. And this will actually has potential to help make you a better person. So go for it. And as always, I am OBJ. It has been my pleasure to bring you this installment of From the Soapbox. And as always, I want to say, be kind to each other out there. Do better. Peace out.